The auditorium buzzed with anticipation as the next contestant's name flashed on the massive LED screen. Luna, 16 years old, from the Philippines. The audience clapped politely, expecting another typical performance. From the shadows, a small figure stepped forward, clutching a worn-out violin case that looked older than she was. Her steps were light, almost hesitant, as if each footfall carried the weight of 1,000 unseen memories. Her long black hair framed a face that was both innocent and tired. She wore a plain white blouse tucked into a faded skirt, mismatched with shoes that had clearly seen better days. The stage lights gleamed off the violin's scratched surface as she opened the case, gently touching the instrument like it was her closest friend. Simon Cowell squinted, leaning slightly forward. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked. "Luna," she replied softly, her voice barely reaching the microphone. "And what will you be doing for us today?" Another judge prompted. "I'll play the violin," she said, smiling nervously. There was a pause, a silent wave of underestimation washed over the room. Some audience members whispered, others exchanged looks of polite indifference. Luna positioned the violin beneath her chin, drew a deep breath, and began to play. The first notes floated across the hall, sweet, careful, and fragile. It wasn't perfect. Her bow wobbled slightly, her timing, uncertain. The judges glanced at one another, typical, unremarkable, forgettable. But as the music continued, something subtle changed. Luna's trembling stopped. Her eyes closed. Each note grew stronger, more emotional, more alive. The melody began to tell a story, one of love, loss, and hope. No one knew that beneath that shy exterior was a heart preparing to reveal something extraordinary, something that would soon bring the entire room to tears. Just as the audience began to settle into Luna's soft violin melody, she suddenly stopped playing. The final note hung in the air, trembling like a fragile thread of emotion ready to snap. Confusion rippled through the crowd. One of the judges leaned toward his microphone, whispering, "Did something go wrong?" Luna stood motionless, her violin still resting against her chest. Her eyes were closed, her lips quivering as if she were fighting back tears. Then, slowly, she lowered the violin. The audience exchanged puzzled glances. What was she doing? Was this part of her act? Then it happened. Luna took a deep breath, stepped forward, and opened her mouth to sing. The very first note silenced the entire auditorium. Her voice was pure and powerful, raw yet angelic, like it had been waiting all her life to be heard. The same melody she had been playing moments before now carried heartfelt lyrics about loss, love, and her late mother, the woman who had taught her that music was a gift meant to heal, not impress. The lyrics poured from her soul. "You told me to play when I was broken, and sing when I was free." Every line trembled with truth, every word soaked with emotion. The judges were frozen, their expressions softening from skepticism to awe. The audience that once whispered now stood transfixed, many with tears glistening under the stage lights. As Luna sang, her voice cracked slightly, but she didn't stop. Instead, she smiled through her tears, raising her face toward the ceiling as if singing straight to heaven. It was no longer a performance, it was a confession, a goodbye, and a miracle. Luna hadn't just tricked the judges. She had awakened their hearts. When the final note escaped Luna's lips, the entire auditorium froze in silence. It wasn't the kind of silence that follows a bad performance, it was the kind that follows a miracle. For a heartbeat, no one dared breathe. Her voice, still lingering in the air, seemed to wrap the entire room in invisible warmth. Then, like a wave breaking, the audience erupted. People leapt to their feet, clapping and cheering, tears streaming down faces young and old. The sound was deafening. Some shouted her name. Others simply stood there, hands over their hearts, too moved to speak. Simon Cowell leaned forward, his eyes uncharacteristically glassy. I didn't see that coming," he said softly, his usual confident tone replaced with disbelief. "You came out here looking like the shyest person in the world, and then you gave us something that feels like a prayer." Another judge, wiping her eyes, added, "You didn't just sing a song, Luna. You became it." Luna stood in the center of the stage, overwhelmed. The gold lights shimmered against her tear-streaked cheeks as she whispered, "I didn't think anyone would care about my voice. I thought the violin would be enough to hide behind." Simon smiled gently, something rare and genuine. "Luna, you don't need to hide anymore." The crowd cheered louder. Even the crew members backstage were clapping, moved by her vulnerability. Luna covered her face, trying to contain her tears, but emotion overflowed. That moment wasn't about fame or winning, it was about courage. A girl who had once been too afraid to speak had just made the world listen. And for the first time in her life, Luna realized her mother had been right all along. Her voice truly could heal hearts. After her breathtaking performance, Luna was ushered backstage where cameras and reporters swarmed around her. But she didn't act like a girl who'd just stunned millions. She was humble, soft-spoken, her violin still clutched protectively in her arms. When an interviewer asked where she learned to sing like that, Luna smiled shyly and said, "My mother taught me, she taught me everything." She explained that she and her mother used to perform together on street corners back in her small town in the Philippines. Mama played the guitar, and I played the violin. Sometimes people gave us coins, sometimes just smiles. But Mama always said, kindness is the real music. As Luna spoke, tears welled in her eyes. Her mother had fallen ill a few years ago. To pay for medicine, Luna played her violin outside hospitals, markets, and bus stations. Even when she earned almost nothing, she shared what little she had, buying bread for homeless children, or rice for elderly neighbors who lived alone. "I didn't want pity," she said softly. "I just wanted to make people feel loved, the way Mama did." The interviewer's voice trembled. "And your song tonight, was it for her?" Luna nodded, smiling through her tears. "Yes. I sang it because she told me once, when I'm gone, keep playing, but never forget to sing with your heart. I think tonight, I finally did." The footage aired worldwide. Viewers were captivated, not just by her talent, but by her story of resilience and kindness. Fans started online campaigns to support her education and music dreams. What began as a performance on a talent show had become something much greater, a reminder that even in hardship, love and kindness could create the most beautiful music of all. The next evening, Luna stood once again beneath the glowing stage lights, her heart pounding as the judges prepared to give their decision. The hall was packed. Anticipation filled the air like electricity. She clasped her hands together, her old violin resting by her side. Her eyes were still red from the night before, but this time, they glowed with quiet confidence. Simon Cowell leaned forward, his expression unusually soft. "Luna," he began, his voice carrying through the hushed audience, "you walked in here looking like a shy girl with an old violin. But what you gave us yesterday was magic. You reminded everyone that talent isn't just about sound, it's about soul." Luna swallowed hard, tears already welling. Another judge spoke through her own trembling voice. "You made us feel every word, every note. You didn't just perform, you healed us." The crowd murmured in agreement, clapping lightly. Luna lowered her head, whispering, "Thank you, this was for my mama." And then, before she could say another word, Simon smiled and slowly reached toward the golden button in front of him. The audience gasped. A second later, his hand came down, the golden buzzer exploded. Gold confetti burst from above, raining down in glittering streams. Luna gasped, covering her mouth with trembling hands. Her knees buckled, and she fell to the stage, sobbing uncontrollably as the audience roared with joy. Simon walked up onto the stage, something he rarely did, and helped her to her feet. "Your mother would be proud," he whispered. "You didn't just trick the judges, you touched the world." As Luna looked up into the dazzling lights and the golden rain, she whispered softly, "This is for you, Mama." And in that moment, the world witnessed not just a performance, but the birth of hope.